Peter, the fact that Donald Trump has said that 25% tariffs is what he's thinking of slapping against the European Union. Yes, he's been talking about tariff since he's assumed presidency. But the fact of the matter is that once countries start countering those tariffs with reverse tariffs, it is only going to impact the American citizen. It's not as if the American economy will really suddenly boost up due to all of these tariffs that Donald Trump is slapping against countries.
Well, that's absolutely true. If you look at what Trump's policies have been so far, they're basically cutting services and assistance to poor people and working class people in the interest of tax cuts for the very, very wealthy. He's talking about $3.5 trillion in tax cuts. Those are going to go to the wealthiest Americans. What we're seeing already in the United States is a lot of resistance to Trump's policies. And these trade war, these tariffs are going to hurt American consumers. So I think Trump is going to have a very, very brief honeymoon, Trump and Musk together, and the opposition is growing. Certainly the Democrats are united against it, but even within the Republican Party, at the Republican town halls across the country in deep red districts, very Republican districts, the citizens are protesting the policies that are already hurting people. When you see Musk there with his chainsaw, acting like a 6-year-old and taking glee in laying people off, and which just is a policy of cruelty toward people who are victims of this, then you see the effects that Trump's policies are already having, and he's only been in office a little more than a month. So I think that the current situation is going to change quickly. It's not a stable situation now, but it's wise for people to look for alternatives, because Trump will at least control 2 houses and pretty much the Supreme Court, as well as the executive branch, for another 2 years. So people are going to have to put up with a new kind of instability from the United States, both internally and externally. And India, with its longstanding policy of neutrality, of not being closely tied to one bloc instead of the other bloc, has been a very wise player in terms of global geopolitics. And it's got close ties with Russia. It's improving its relationship with China, trying to resolve some of those tensions, bolstering its ties to Europe. India is a very strong player. It is projected to be the 3rd largest economy by 2030. So, of course, everybody wants to have good relations and closer ties with India at this point. So what's happening makes a lot of sense for the Europeans to be going over there and trying to improve relations. The Europeans want lower tariffs on cars, lower tariffs on wine, lower tariffs on whiskey, as well as other goods, and the Indians want to improve their ties with Europe as well. So that makes a lot of sense right now for India to be hedging its bets, for the Europeans to be hedging their bets, and hopefully the United States will wake up rather than be on this very destructive path that we see Trump embarking on in most areas. While what he's doing in terms of Ukraine might make sense, and his calls for cutting military spending and cutting nuclear arms makes a lot of sense, but the rest of his policies seem to be totally out of whack.
Okay, so we'll have to wait and watch how Trump moves forward and how it impacts the entire world. And because India stands at such a crucial juncture, I think India will have to be very, very wise when it really barters with different countries as far as trade ties are concerned. And because we are so important in the geostrategic, this entire dynamic, that we need to be very smart in trying to get our way around what we want. I'll have to leave it there. Ambassador Jaishankar, Burzine and Peter Kuznick, thank you very much to all of you 3 gentlemen for joining us and sharing your perspective on the show.